Hey guys, good morning. Happy Friday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and early, 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I wasn't planning on making this video. I actually was in the middle of doing my 1,000 sit-ups today. I rotate 5 days in a row, like 5 days. I do 5 different workouts, and then I start at the beginning again. And today's 1,000 sit-ups, and I was thinking a lot of stuff I've talked about recently, about alpha and beta males, about Russia and Putin and Trump and aggression and stuff like that. And I started thinking about that. And I thought about this too. As I get older, one thing that becomes evident to me, that one of the most important things, the reason I feel that I'm here on this earth, like especially after I lost Audrey this summer, it makes you kind of think about life and death. And I think to me personally, I think especially as I get older, I think one of the most important reasons why I'm still here is to help other people. I look at some of my videos and I tend to complain a lot and joke around, but I want to help people. I think at the end of the day, seriously, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have or your possessions. I think really at the end of your life, all that matters is what you did for your fellow man. Maybe some people think this sounds corny, but I've really come, especially after in the last 6-7 months, I've really started to believe this. All right, another thing I thought about too. A lot of times, a lot of liberals, they're not war hawks, and a lot of times, people that talk about peace and are against aggression, a lot of times they've never actually been in altercations, and I think people are less likely to take advice from somebody that's never been there, and I've been through it all. I've been through a period. I'm going to make a series of about 3 or 4 videos talking about aggression, stuff I've gone through in my life, physical altercations. I'm going to make 3 or 4 of them. And I'm going to start with this one here today. And I've kind of run the whole gamut, going from being the picked on guy to being on the other end of it, which I'm not too proud of. All right, let me start with this. Up until I was 14, after my dad died, I lived out in the woods. I was quiet. I was overweight. I was a big guy. I was probably the biggest guy in the class, but I was very quiet. I did tend to get in altercations, even back then. The schoolyard bullies would look for the big guy to pick on, especially the quiet, the big guy. If they could beat up the big guy, it's points. And plus I was quiet, so I was an easy target. A lot of times I would get aggressive back. But this is the key, and this is kind of what this whole video is about, is it wasn't until I was 14 that I actually hauled off and struck somebody else in the face, punched somebody. I hope I could say that here. And then a lot of things changed after that. Some good, some bad. I got 3 stitches right here. That was in 2nd or 3rd grade. There was a kid bullying the girls, and I stood up to him, but that's where I stopped. I wasn't willing to go. I didn't have the guts, the balls, to go that extra, the physical part of it. And I ended up getting my butt kicked a lot of times. Until when I was 14, I kind of moved to the rough side of the tracks, and I lost a lot of weight when I was 14. Plus, I grew about a foot. My whole body changed. I went from being the big, quiet, picked-on kid to getting noticed by the girls. I remember freshman year, one of the biggest things that raised my stock market value was the first girl I dated freshman year was a junior, a very popular junior girl who was on the volleyball team. And that's where things just took off, Also, though, I looked at a lot of these people, just a year or 2 before, these same girls would laugh at me or wouldn't give me the time of day. And now that all of a sudden, physically, I've changed, they're all stumbling over themselves to talk to me. And I didn't have a whole lot of respect for that either. Okay, so I moved to the tougher side of town. And I lost this weight. a lot of that was because I was bicycling. I missed my old neighborhood. I had one buddy that lived in the woods out there, and I would ride my bike back to hang out with this guy every day. About 6 miles there and then 6 miles back every day. And I ate less, and all of a sudden, plus I naturally grew at that period. So I totally transformed, except for mentally, okay? So around that time, I was in this new neighborhood, and it was a tougher part of town, and there was a few bullies. There was one bully in particular I would run into. Like, I would go up to a park in the winter to ice skate. I had my ice skates with me. I also did a paper route around there, and I feared running into this guy. I ran into him one day with my ice skates over my shoulder, probably in January. And, and I saw him coming in. I know, looking back now, I know I showed this, I must have had this look of fear right on my face that bullies like this eat up. And I just felt, I felt more angry, like I had enough at this point. And he confronted me. I can't remember what he said initially, but he wanted my ice skates. He said, I wasn't leaving there, and I tried to walk around him, and he blocks me. And I'm getting angry, and like I said, up to that point, I would talk the talk, but I hadn't walked the walk yet, And long story short, before I knew it, I remembered, I remember learning how to punch. I had taken some karate classes because I had gotten my nose broke. No, not actually, that was after, but I had gotten in a bad fight before this, and I had taken some karate, just briefly taken some karate classes, and I learned how to punch, And before I knew it, I cocked back, and I just twisted on impact and hit the guy right here, this bully. And down he went like a bag of rocks. Up until this point, I used to have dreams. I don't know if you guys ever had these dreams where you go to punch somebody and you can't punch. You feel weak. Like, you're in a fight. I don't know if it's just me. And I have very long, very, very long arms. And I was just amazed at how much damage I did to this guy in one punch. And I don't remember the impact. I've told people that over and over again. On TV, they go, ow, To this day, I've never felt that. Maybe later my knuckles hurt, but right at that moment, it's all numb. I don't feel my arm at all. The only way I knew that I hit him is I saw his face go back, and I saw him lift off the ground and land on his back. And at that moment, he looked so much smaller and scared. He looked like a totally different person in that fraction of a second when I struck him. And I got to admit to you guys, one of the first things I felt was compassion and remorse. I don't know if I should hate this about myself, or I felt bad. I actually felt bad for this guy that had been picking on me every single day. But seeing that terrified look on his face, that scared look, I knew what that scared look felt like. And I empathized with him. I felt bad for him, even after the misery that this guy put me through. Another thing that I came to the first time I felt it was that day, was the fear of the future, of repercussions, of what would happen now. Yeah, now, I've changed the dynamic between me and this guy, but what's going to happen down the road? And this is something I've dealt with my whole life after this. I think people that have never been in this situation, they don't realize, is this guy going to get his big brothers? Is he going to get something else besides for his fist? Am I going to have to look over my shoulder? This is something that every single time I ever got in an altercation, it's one of the first things that occurs to me. It's like one more person I have to add to the list of people that might be behind me in the future. It's not a good feeling, and this is one of the reasons I tell you guys it's best to get out of this at all costs, to avoid conflict at all costs. And the way to avoid this is to show confidence, not fake confidence, but real confidence. I see I'm running long on time. My very next video, I'm going to talk to you guys about that. There's a way that a lot of people go about this if they're in a bad neighborhood, and they keep their head up and they bounce around and kind of sing a song to themselves, and trying to look like confident, cocky. And that's the wrong way to go about it. That attracts attention. That makes you stick out. That makes you a target right there. In the next video, I'll talk to you guys about, I don't give advice a lot, but what has worked for me. A way to give off this stench, this beautiful stench of being a hard ass and confident. That'll be my next video. You guys have a great Friday.